proudly accept your nomination for president.
This is Donald Trump, 33 years old, and some people think that he wants to buy the World Trade Center.
Donald Trump.
Please welcome Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
The name is everywhere, across real estate deals, reality TV, the White House, and countless headlines. But who's the man behind the brand? Today, we'll venture deep in Donald Trump's life story, from his father's financial empire in Queens to the glittering rise and controversial pitfalls that shaped his journey into one of the most polarizing figures on the planet. Love him or hate him, there's no denying that he left an indelible mark on American business, politics, and pop culture. Let's unravel how a kid from Queens transformed into a mogul, a media titan, the American president twice, and why you should care. To understand Donald Trump, start with Fred Trump, his father, an ambitious real estate developer who amassed a fortune by building and managing affordable housing in Brooklyn and Queens. Donald was the second youngest out of his 5 siblings, but he was quickly singled out as the confident, sometimes rebellious child who'd push limits and chase the spotlight. From a young age, Donald experienced both the prestige of a wealthy family and the tough love ethos of Fred Trump, who taught him that weakness wasn't an option. By the time he was in grade school, Donald was already helping out at construction sites, absorbing the language of deals and leases. But his behavior at home and school grew increasingly combative. He'd pick fights and challenge authority. At 13, he was sent to the New York Military Academy, a strict boarding school meant to straighten him out. Instead of breaking him, it sharpened his competitive edge. On the field, in the dorms, Donald learned the power of leadership and how to wield it for recognition. With the Vietnam War raging, Trump secured multiple student deferments and eventually a medical exemption for bone spurs, an ailment that never slowed his public lifestyle. He successfully avoided active duty, igniting controversy about privilege and integrity that would follow him for decades. Graduating high school, Donald spent 2 years at Fordham, then transferred to the Wharton School of Finance at the University of Pennsylvania. He often bragged about Wharton's prestige, claiming it as proof of his business acumen, even as rumors swirled he might have leaned on family connections to get in. Regardless, he emerged in 1968 with a ready-made network, a hefty inheritance, and a father pushing him to become an even bigger real estate figure than Fred himself. The inheritance jump-started his path, but Donald's early blueprint was set: a relentless drive to win, a willingness to leverage family ties, and an instinct to turn any situation into publicity. That combination would soon replace New York's skyline and eventually reshape America's political landscape. In the mid-1970s, New York City teetered on the edge of bankruptcy, especially the once glamorous neighborhoods of Manhattan. Donald saw opportunity where established developers saw risk. At 25, he took the reins of his father's real estate company, renaming it the Trump Organization. While he likes to mention a small loan of $1 million, deep investigation showed he ultimately received over $400 million in today's dollars from his father, an extraordinary boost that would define his early business ventures. He forged a partnership with a Hyatt hotel chain thanks to key political contacts his father had cultivated, negotiated massive abatements from a city desperate for rejuvenation. The rundown commodity became the glittering Grand Hyatt, reaping huge profits when the 1980s economic upswing arrived. By 1996, Trump sold his share for an eye-popping $142 million, cementing his image as a risk-taking visionary. Yes, Donald masterminded the deal, but Fred's capital and clout paved the way. This pattern of using relationships, brand hype, and tax deals would become Donald's signature approach. Enter Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. Donald's declaration that he outgrown the outer boroughs. He spared no expense. Gold fixtures, marble floors, an indoor waterfall. Criticized as gaudy, it still attracted affluent buyers who craved extravagance. Behind the scenes, Trump learned that marketing himself was as vital as building the property. He gave tours to journalists, boasted about quality and class, effectively turning the tower into a living advertisement for the Trump name. Soon Trump became synonymous with opulence, luxury, and premium. From here on, Trump realized that branding can overshadow reality. If you make yourself the story, you stay relevant, no matter how the actual numbers look. Feeling unstoppable, Trump dove into Atlantic City casinos, the Taj Mahal, Trump Plaza, Trump Marina. To fund these ventures, he used junk bonds and risky loans. At first, the new casinos dazzled, but the bills piled up. By 1991, with Taj Mahal defaulting on massive interest payments, all three casinos ended up in bankruptcy. Critics labeled Trump a professional con artist, pointing out he repeatedly promised grand returns to investors while personally insulating himself from the full fallout. Courts required him to sell his airline, his yacht, and large chunks of his real estate assets. Employees lost jobs, contractors claimed they were stiffed. Yet the man himself, the brand, endured. Trump negotiated restructured debts, rebranded the losses as temporary setbacks, and often pivoted to fresh ventures or publicity stunts. Here's the paradox: over-leveraging can fuel rapid growth. Until it doesn't. Trump's skill in spinning failure into brand momentum was unparalleled, but many asked, at whose cost? The 1990s hit Trump from all sides. The absurd and personal life drama exploded in the tabloids. His divorce from Ivana, complete with rumors of infidelity, became public spectacle. He married Marla Maples soon after, but that union wouldn't last either. Instead of hiding, he used every scandal to dominate headlines. As Atlantic City bled money, Trump tapped into media fascination with his flamboyant lifestyle. He did cameo ads like the legendary Pizza Hut commercial featuring him and Ivana joking about pizza crust. Television talk shows clamored for interviews, not because of business success, but because he was outrageous, unfiltered, and unafraid to brag about women, money, and ambition. In the mid-90s, Trump turned near collapse into the ultimate comeback story. He authored bestsellers like The Art of the Deal and The Art of the Comeback, positioning himself as the king of reinvention. Trump snapped up 40 Wall Street for a bargain, renaming it the Trump Building, revitalizing both the property and his image. He also owned the Miss Universe and Miss USA pageants, placing his name on everything from bottled water to ball games, ensuring Trump stayed front and center. Many ventures were short-lived, but the real victory wasn't dominating these markets. It was permanently embedding his brand into American culture. What others might see as humiliating press, Trump saw it as free advertising. It's one reason he is referred to as the ultimate showman, or more pejoratively, a con who thrives on publicity stunts while sidestepping deeper scrutiny of his finances. For Trump, good and also bad press was all good press. By the early 2000s, the Trump name had stuck in public consciousness, partially from business fiascos, partially from tabloid mania. Then in 2004, Trump partnered with NBC to launch The Apprentice. The show painted him as a decisive, super wealthy CEO, handpicking bright-eyed hopefuls for big money opportunities. "You're fired" became a cultural catchphrase. Ratings soared. Between licensing fees, endorsements, and on-camera persona, Trump raked in millions, fire-eclipsing the earnings of many of his real estate or product-based ventures. Trump Steaks, Trump Vodka, Trump University, most flopped, but the brand, it thrived. This period highlighted Trump's real superpower, marketing himself. Even if the fundamentals were shaky, the perceived image of success lured in fresh deals, media attention, and a loyal fan base. Trump flirted with running for president multiple times, teasing campaigns in 1988, 2000, and 2012. But the biggest PR bombshell came when he spearheaded the birthday conspiracy, falsely suggesting Barack Obama was ineligible for the presidency. Though widely debunked, it catapulted Trump into the political spotlight. In 2015, he formally announced his candidacy, railing against illegal immigration and elites. Despite mainstream media dismissing him as a sideshow, Trump outmaneuvered veteran politicians in the Republican primary and rode a wave of anti-establishment sentiment to defeat Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election, all while championing a populist message yet being a billionaire from Manhattan. Critics called him an authoritarian who stoked division. Supporters saw a champion of the overlooked. But either way, Trump used controversy and a larger-than-life persona to seize the center stage, arguably the biggest brand-building triumph of his life. As the 45th President of America, Donald Trump spurred into countless controversies. From immigration crackdowns and fiery rhetoric to true impeachments, the January 6 Capitol riots, and persistent claims of fake news, he governed amid swirling tension. Legal challenges piled up. Impeachments over alleged abuse of power, the Ukraine scandal, and for inciting the January 6 insurrection. Indictments for alleged hush money payments, election interference, and hoarding classified documents post-presidency. Civil lawsuits on fraud and defamation charges. Despite this, and sometimes because of it, he remained the most talked about political figure in the country. Observers labeled his style authoritarian, citing anti-immigrant language, threats against opponents, and claims that the 2020 election was stolen. For supporters, he stood against entrenched elites and told hard truths. For detractors, he turned the presidency into a personal brand building exercise, an extension of the same flamboyant showmanship and boundary-pushing tactics that marked his business career. After losing to Joe Biden in 2020, Trump never considered pushing unproven claims of election fraud, yet he remained the GOP's dominant figure. By 2024, amid multiple indictments, he mounted another presidential run, this time with an even bolder of an inflammatory platform. Astonishingly, he survived 2 assassination attempts, stoked controversy over mass deportation plans, threatened to slash foreign alliances, and harmed populist talking points. He still clinched the Republican nomination, then won the 2024 election against Kamala Harris, flipping key states and capturing 49.8% of the popular vote. Trump returned to the White House as the first president since Grover Cleveland to serve non-consecutive terms. Donald Trump's life is a case study in the extremes. Relentless branding, slapping his name on buildings and products build instant recognition. Fearless self-promotion, he spins defeats into temporary setbacks, never openly conceding failure. Unbreakable resilience. From bankruptcies to political scandals, he persists leveraging publicity to bounce back. But these same strengths have dark corners. Ethical quicksand, allegations of fraud, legal boundary pushing, and stiff contractors prompt critics to call him a professional con artist. Excessive debt and risk, over-leveraging led to bankruptcies that harm employees and smaller investors. Manipulative rhetoric, exploiting fear, space-goring and divisive language served him well in rallying a loyal base, but deepened national rifts. So where do we draw the line? Yes, you can seize opportunities like Trump, turning your name into a brand, marketing yourself fearlessly, and bouncing back from crushing defeats. But real power lies in building true substance, not just glitz. Take risks, yet don't bury others under your debt. Stand out, yet never lose sight of your moral compass. It's easy to stumble into that grey space where visionary meets con artist. Thank you for joining this deep dive into Donald Trump's life, controversies, and unlikely comebacks. Let it ignite your ambition to aim high, hustle hard, and to never let failure to define you. But remember, true legacy isn't measured by golden-plated skyscrapers. It's rather reflected in the impact we leave on those around us. In the words of Donald Trump himself, as long as you're going to do thinking anyway, think big. So think big, but keep your integrity bigger, because that's what transforms ambition into something that truly endures.